Hello and welcome to episode 57 of Design Curious Podcast. Today on the episode, I have a special Q&A for you from our listeners, frequently asked questions that I get, so I'm going to answer those here today. And before I get to those questions, I wanted to remind you, go to the show notes. You can find the links for the downloads that I've created for you, the 3 things I wish I had known before starting a career in interior design, as well as the roadmap for interior design. And then while you're there, you can take the quiz to find out which type of interior design you should be doing, whether it's residential or maybe something else. So take that quiz. It's a lot of fun, real short and sweet, and let me know your answers when you're done. All right, let's talk about the most frequent questions about the career of interior design. Get your answers here today. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Okay, first question I have is, do you think it's necessary to enroll in a school the traditional way to become an interior designer, while there are courses and programs like the one that I provide, my design mentor, especially in this digital age? And so my answer to that is, and I've stated it here before on the podcast, and I often actually ask this question of my guests because I like to know their opinion and see if it is in alignment with mine or if it's different, why. And so the answer, though, that I give is that no, I don't think that traditional school is a requirement for this field. It depends on where you are in life. And like we talked about in episode 30 with Jill Hornbeck, that if you are coming straight out of high school, then it could be that a 4-year degree or even a 2-year degree is the best avenue for you because you are so young in life. You've had very few experiences. You might not be ready for starting your own business or even quite have enough experience to be employable by a prospective employer who is an interior designer and looking for a junior designer. So in that situation, if you're just 18, then yes, the college experience could be really good. You're going to get a lot of general education as well as design experience and design training through the school. So that could be a good option for you. However, if you're later in life, it might be your second or third career, or you're taking it from a hobby to be serious about it, then no, I don't think you need to have a full 4-year traditional degree. And if you're going into business for yourself, it doesn't really matter, does it? So you just have to have the confidence to do the designs and to sell it to your clients and run the business, which does take some knowledge and training with that. So that's where you're going to come with coaching or come to my design mentor to get you started on that direction of owning your own design firm. Some form of learning is required. It just doesn't have to be formal. And like the question asked, in this digital age, there's so many courses, so many YouTube videos available out there. Not all of them is the best advice, so you have to use a lot of discernment, but you have to find the ones that really resonate with you, with your style of life, how you like to work, your level of transparency that you're comfortable with, and everything. So there's a lot out there. You can educate yourself quite well with just the digital courses that are available. Of course, nothing can replace hands-on experience. So we talk about that a lot in my design mentor, and I tell you kind of how you can get both some digital training as well as hands-on experience while you're taking your first steps into the career. All right, our next question is, do you think it's necessary to have business insurance, even if you have an LLC, in regards to having your personal assets secured? Well, with this question, I am not an attorney. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. But I would say, yes, always have business insurance for whatever business that you are running. You definitely have to have insurance to cover you. I think that when I first started out I didn't know I needed business insurance until I went to a women in business networking group locally. And one of the insurance agents there was like, oh my goodness, you do not have insurance and you've been in business for a year. Like something could happen and they could take all of your assets. So we quickly got me some general liability insurance, umbrella coverage and all that. I think the minimum that anyone would recommend would be $1 million in coverages. And there's a lot of other coverages that your insurance agents can help you with as far as that goes. But yes, even if you have an LLC, corporation, S Corp, you are still going to want to have the insurance just because you have a business entity of the corporation. It does not provide any financial relief if something were to happen. That's where the insurance comes in. So yes, always get insurance. All right, next question I have is what kind of reading and writing would be required from an entry-level job? So I got this question from a student at the university who's looking to get a job for an employer. And I'm not sure whether English is their second language, but they were concerned about the levels of reading and writing that is required by an entry-level job of the junior designer. And I can understand this question regardless of your language level because, you think of a designer is like, yeah, they're going to be doing drafting all day and sitting around color swatches. And, why would you need any reading and writing? Well, a lot of your communication with your team is critical. So you're going to need to read and write emails to your team, to your vendors, and to your contractors. And a junior designer often will have some communication with every part of the project. So it is good to hone your reading and writing skills, especially writing, even with ChatGPT coming online. You need to know how to write well and authentically and communicate very technical details visually as well as verbally to contractors to get your design made properly. So yes, those are very important skills to have. Don't brush over them. If you're still in college, take writing classes, do a lot of reading just for fun, just to hone those skills. Next question is asking if he's starting an interior design career, he's looking for a flexible program to go through. What would I recommend? When I can't speak specifically to programs in whatever area a person might be. However, like we were saying back in episode 30 with Jill Hornbeck, that a community college is an excellent way to get an interior design degree or certificate because they do offer a lot of evening classes sometimes, and that it can be stretched out over several years of your career, and it doesn't cost too much to go through the community college route. So I would say that's probably a really good route. Of course, there's, I imagine, a lot of online degrees that you can take as well. So you can take classes here and there. And, the community colleges might offer them online, or other universities. It could be a university across the country, but they are offering an online interior design degree. And so taking, even if it's just one class at a time, that's probably the best flexibility for someone who's transitioning into the career from another avenue. All right. And another question I got asked was, what kind of presentations or visuals can I be expected to show clients at a project presentation? So that's an interesting question. Typically, that you will need to have a layout of the materials that you are using. So you might want your client to be able to touch and feel the actual samples of what it is that you're proposing, because oftentimes the client can't go and sit on these pieces of furniture themselves. They're not shown locally, or they're shown at trade shows that the client can't get access to. Since COVID, everything's been digital and online, and so there has to be a lot more trust on the client's part of understanding that they might only see a little snippet of what the actual product's going to be, but they're trusting the designer has vetted the vendor well enough to be able to sell this product and that it's going to be comfortable and meet the needs. So you'll have all of your swatches out, but the visuals, so what we do in my firm is that we'll have, we use AutoCAD for our drafting, so we'll have two-dimensional drawings of the floor plans, layouts of the furniture and everything like that. And then we'll create 2D renderings of the elevations. So we'll do elevations of all the kitchen walls and bathrooms and put on the finishes so we can see it. Then now we are also providing 3D renderings of a couple views within the home of what we think is critical for helping the client to visualize what it's going to look like. So a combination of all those different levels of drawings is what we show the client at a presentation. Our presentations typically last about 2 hours, and then oftentimes we'll travel to the plumbing and appliance showroom to show the client the specific plumbing fixtures and appliances that we've selected for them so they can try them out, make sure that they love it. So that is also a part of the presentation. We don't typically have all of those things in our studio, but we try to get as many items as possible at the presentation. And the last question I'm addressing today is, what is even the difference between interior designers or decorators, and which one should I call myself? That's also a good question. I'd say interior designers can often be interchanged with interior architects because we are focused very much on creating functional spaces within the building, and it's much more involved than decorating or making something aesthetically pleasing. So when it comes to the functionality of a space, you're really designing for that and you're not just decorating. It's often said that interior designers may decorate, but decorators do not design. There's a difference. So if you're wanting to be a decorator, no shame in that, because that might be something that you're really good at. So what you would be doing, though, is taking an existing space and adorning it with furnishings, accessories. It could be paint, could be draperies, and of course we're talking residentially. And you can completely change a space that way by just fixing what is inside of that room. However, you're not going to be opening up walls, widening, rooms, or taking out fireplaces, or changing the windows shapes or sizes, or adding doors here and there. That is design because you're changing the function of the room. Often then you're going to have more knowledge of how to do the drawings, how to get permits and things like that. So it's way more detailed, way more involved to be a designer than a decorator. Much more technical, can often include electrical and plumbing and multidisciplinary type of decisions that go into designing a space as opposed to decorating a space. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Again, I think that this podcast, I think Mine is a Mentor, and other programs are great if you want to be a decorator or even a stager. That's a great avenue to go. Some people are really, really talented with that. Might even do retail design, like doing displays and windows for Anthropologie and things like that. So that is a lot more of the decoration skills that come into place. And some designers actually are not great at decorating. They're better at just figuring out the function of the space and the more technical details, but they might not be great at figuring out which trim should go on the leading edge of a drapery. So we all have our strengths, and you pick the one that feels right to you and go forward with that. So those are the questions that I have for today. I think it'd be great to kind of do this maybe once a year or as it comes up. I'll collect your questions as we go along, but I think it's a lot of fun to do a Q&A today. So I hope that answered a few questions that you might have about the career of interior design, whether you're trying to discover if you're going to go to school for design, or if you want to start your own business, or just take it from a hobby to a career. So a lot of questions were answered today, but I know there's a lot more out there. So feel free to send me your questions either on Instagram or email me, podcast@arvourdesign.com. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to leave me a rating and review, and we will have another great episode next week. So until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.